Hey, good morning, everyone. I received an email from the special counsel which reports that the special counsel's office, Michael Cohen of New York, pled guilty on November 29, 2018, to make false statements to the United States Congress to violation of 18 USC 1001A2. Plea agreement is here, and we click on that. Um, I'm also on the White House press list, or I should say Zenny 62 Media is, not so much me personally, but the Zenny 62 Media. U.S. Department of Justice Special Counsel's Office, November 29th, and these are the listed lawyers, and it says, in regards to United States versus Michael Cohen, dear Mr. Petrillo and Mr. Lester, this letter sets forth the full and complete plea offer of your client, Michael Cohen, hereinafter referred to as your client or defendant from the special counsel's office, hereinafter referred to as the government, or this office. If your client accepts the terms and conditions of this offer, please have your client execute this document in the space provided below. Upon receipt of the executed document, this letter become the plea agreement, hereinafter referred to as this agreement. The terms of this offer are as follows. Charges and statutory penalties. Your client agrees to waive indictment and plead guilty to a criminal information, a copy of which is attached, charging your client with making false statements to the United States Congress. Your client understands that a violation of USC 1001 carries a maximum sentence of 5 years imprisonment, a fine of not more than $250,000 pursuant to USC 3571B3, a term of supervised release of not more than 3 years pursuant to USC 353B2, and an obligation to pay any applicable interest or penalties on fines and restitution not timely made. In addition, your client agrees to pay a special assessment $100 per felony conviction to the clerk of the United States Court of the Southern District of New York. Your client also understands that pursuant to USC 3572 and 5E1.2 of the United States Sentencing Commission Guidelines Manual, the court may also impose a fine that is sufficient to pay the federal government any cost of imprisonment. Here's the plea. Your client understands and acknowledges that this agreement is contingent upon the entry of a guilty plea by the defendant in this case. If your client fails to enter a guilty plea, this agreement or any proceedings pursuant to this agreement may be withdrawn or voided in whole or in part upon the adoption of this office. Factual stipulations. Your client agrees that the factual stipulations found within the criminal investigation fairly and accurately describe your client's actions and involvements in the offense to which your client is pleading guilty. Additional charges. Your client will not be further prosecuted criminally by this office for the conduct set forth in the attached criminal information, for other false statements made by him to the U.S. Congress or to this office in connection with the conduct described in the criminal information, and for obstructing, aiding, or abetting in the obstruction or conspiring to obstruct or commit perjury before congressional or grand jury investigations in connection with the conduct described in the criminal information. He has a sentencing guidelines analysis and estimated offense levels under the guideline, 6 years. Acceptance of responsibility. This is a 9-page document. And then it goes on estimated criminal history, and it says estimated appeals, estimated applicable guidelines range, and this doesn't describe exactly what was done here. It's more details about the sentencing and saying the government agrees to bring the court's attention sentencing in this matter, United States versus Cohen, and goes on with more details. Court not bound by this agreement or the sentencing guidelines. Has waivers, venues, statute of limitations, and that, and his appeals rights and collateral attacks. A lot of legal details that are around the guilty plea. Now, and this is got by Robert Mueller, special counsel right there. So we have, that was the plea agreement, and now the criminal information is here. So when we leave the criminal information, this is what it reads as it comes open. Slowly but surely. And there it is. Okay. The defendant gives the background. It says from in or around 2007 through in and around 2000 January, Michael Cohen, the defendant, was an attorney employee of the Manhattan-based real estate company. The company, Cohen, held the title of Executive Vice President and Special Counsel to the owner of the company. False statements to the United States Congress. In 2017, it said it wanted to conduct an investigation in Russian elections. And it says on or about August 28th, Cohen caused a 2-page letter to be sent on his behalf, and it addressed his efforts at the company to pursue a branded property in Moscow, Russia, the Moscow Project. Cohen stated that the purpose of the letter was to provide the committee with additional information regarding the proposal, referring to the Moscow Project. In the letter, Cohen unknowingly and deliberately made the following false representation. The Moscow Project ended in January 2016 and was not discussed extensively with others in the company. So that is what he is pleading guilty to. Apparently, the Moscow Project did not end in January 2016 and was not discussed extensively with others in the company. Now, this is President Donald Trump's response right here.
So Michael Cohen has made many statements to the House, as I understand it, and the Senate. He put out a statement talking about a project which was essentially, I guess, more or less of an option that we were looking at in Moscow. Everybody knew about it. It was written about in newspapers. It was a well-known project. It was during the early part of 16, and I guess even before that. It lasted a short period of time. I didn't do the project. I decided not to do the project, so I didn't do it. So we're not talking about doing a project. We're talking about not doing a project. Michael Cohen, what he's doing is he was convicted, I guess, you'll have to put it into legal terms, but he was convicted with a fairly long-term sentence on things totally unrelated to the Trump organization, having to do with mortgages and having to do with cheating the IRS, perhaps, a lot of different things. I don't know exactly, but he was convicted of various things unrelated to us. He was given a fairly long jail sentence, and he's a weak person, and by being weak, unlike other people that you watch, he's a weak person, and what he's trying to do is get a reduced sentence. So he's lying about a project that everybody knew about. I mean, we were very open with it. We were thinking about building a building. I guess we had it in a form. It was an option. I don't know what you'd call it. I decided ultimately not to do it. There would have been nothing wrong if I did do it. If I did do it, there would have been nothing wrong. That was my business. So he's lying very simply to get a reduced sentence, okay?
Okay, so that's the president. And this goes back to say further that Cohen never agreed to travel to Russia in connection with the Moscow Project. He never considered asking individual one to travel for the project. Apparently that is not true. And there are other statements. Cohen did not recall any Russian government response or contact about the Moscow Project. Apparently he did. The other false statement to Congress: the Moscow Project was discussed multiple times within the company and did not end in January 2016. Instead, as late as approximately June 2016, Cohen and Individual 2 discussed efforts to obtain Russian government approval for the Moscow Project. So there's altogether 10 pages here of that by the Special Counsel Office and Judicial File, which will be posted as a link with this video for your own reading and information enjoyment. Please subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube. Thank you.